नमस्कार। आज की वीडियो is the first video that I have of Shashi Tharoor. It is I found it kind of intriguing because the title is Shashi Tharoor opens up about Hinduism, Swami Vivekanand caste system. So Shashi Tharoor mostly has opposing views because he belongs to the opposition, and from his works he has intensely criticized the British. But I don't know what where he exactly stands on the whole right wing left wing politics. He remains a little isolated from all the mainstream politics that goes on in our country. I don't know whether it's deliberate or that he does not like himself to be associated with those things. So let's see what he has to say about all these topics. This feels like an interview clip. I'll give more thoughts after the video or in the middle of it. So let's start. I'll give link to this video in the description. You can check it out.
Are you religious, Shashi?
Yeah.
I know you're not. I know you've spoken about how you had a nationalist upbringing in a manner, and you were not. You dropped your surname. You didn't believe in caste.
My
How?
father dropped his surname, so I inherited that.
Yeah. How far can you extrapolate that argument? If caste is bad, is religion also bad?
No, because I think there's a distinction to be made, which I've made in my book, Why I'm a Hindu, between.
Well, when they say religion, they specifically mean Hinduism because that's the only religion that has caste, like according to the mainstream idea.
Hindu society and Hindu faith. And to my mind, society is a purely man made construct. And you are free to agree with it, reject it as you wish. I've never accepted the caste system for myself, and I don't particularly cherish the idea of judging people by anything they happen to have been born into, as a religion, their caste, their appearance, whatever, the language they speak at home. That's not where you judge people. And to my mind, that's a non negotiable thought. I mean, yes, you can appreciate the fact that somebody is better looking than somebody else or whatever, but those are superficial things. I mean, as Martin Luther King's famous phrase, the content of their character matters much more than any of those factors. But Hinduism as a faith, I find.
Well, it all depends. What is the kind of relationship we have that person? Because if it's a romantic relationship, then of course the appearance matters, at least at first, right? So it all depends how we are approaching them. If they are in a professional environment, then of course appearance or let's say the upbringing or anything that does not matter. Only the merit and their ability to get the work done matters. So it depends on the context of a relationship.
Found extremely interesting. And it's partially also because I read up about it a lot. I became a sort of devotee, if you like, of Swami Vivekanand when I was a teenager. And the good thing about Swamiji is that he did most of his preaching in English. So you weren't reading him through the intermediary of a translation. All the Hindu sacred texts I've read in English, and therefore I knew they were coming from Sanskrit. And if somebody had got the original meaning wrong, then I was getting the wrong meaning. Who knows? But with Swami Vivekanand, literally the guy was speaking in English most of the time, and you could actually read his actual words. And I learned an enormous amount of what I valued about Hinduism from him. And one of the things I've talked about, which I'll mention to this audience, is his famous statement when he addressed the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893, and he said that I'm proud to speak to you in behalf of a faith which has taught the world not just tolerance but acceptance. He didn't elaborate on it, but that sentence stuck in my head and had turned it over. When I was reading it, I was studying in history class that a tolerant king is a good thing, is a good king, because I think he sort of tolerates other people's points of view and so on. But the more I thought about it over the years, the more I realized that tolerance is actually a very patronizing idea. I mean, what is tolerance? Tolerance is saying, I believe I have the truth, you are in error, but I will magnanimously indulge you in your right to be wrong. That's all that tolerance is. Whereas acceptance, which is what Vivekananda taught.
Yeah, the whole idea of tolerance comes from a place of entitlement. Okay, I'm sitting on my high horse with my holier than thou attitude, and then I'm telling, all right, you have certain ideas. I'll just tolerate you. I won't indulge with you. I will not say anything. I'll just tolerate you, and that is seen as a good sign, right? And here what he's saying, that Swami Vivekananda said, we we showed the idea of acceptance, which is going way beyond tolerance.
Hinduism was all about. Acceptance preaches, you're saying, really, I believe I have the truth. You believe you have the truth. I will respect your truth. Please respect my truth. And to my mind, that's a fundamental difference and a fundamental basis for coexistence in a multi religious society like ours. So, to my mind, that was profoundly important and valuable. And I'm religious in that sense. I go to temples largely and only when it's expected of me to do so, not because I feel I need to be in a temple to reach out to the divine. I have that sort of very Hindu view that it's essentially between me and my conception of my maker. There are 33 crore ways in which you can name and imagine the divine. Pick your own, do what you like, pick half a dozen or a dozen. It's your call, right? I mean, the great thing about Hinduism is we have not one sacred book, but several. We have no Hindu Pope, no Hindu Sunday. I mean, you can literally have your Ishtadevta any day of the week and fast for him or her, or pray for him or her, or whatever, as you wish. You can even decide that you prefer the idea of the Nirguna Brahman, God without form, without qualities, without shape, without gender, and yearn for that if you wish. As Swami Vivekananda demonstrated, you can also reach Brahman through service. What is karma yoga? You're serving humanity, and in that process, you are getting closer to God. So all of these are...
Well, Swami Vivekananda preached it, but it takes its extrapolation from Bhagavad Gita, because there is a chapter in Bhagavad Gita about karma yoga. So let me expand on that a little bit. Arjun asks, okay, what is the path to divine? So Krishna says, okay, there is bhakti yoga, where you can be a devotee of the God, right? You can leave the grahast jivan, and then you can go and do bhajans of God, stay with him, and that is one of the ways of achieving God. But there is another way. Another way is the karma yoga, where you do all your duties, where you do everything that you are supposed to do, which is your dharma to do so. For example, a Kshatriya's dharma is to fight in the war, like protect his people, not just fight for the sake of fighting. Like a Kshatriya's dharma is to protect his people. A Brahman's dharma is to teach. These are just examples. These are not Brahman by caste or by birth. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a teacher's job is to teach, right? A warrior's war is to protect his people. So if you do these things, if you do karma yoga without getting attached to the outcomes, because then only it is real karma, right? If you're attached to the outcomes, then that is selfish, because you're doing it for your own pleasure. You're doing it because you want a certain outcome to come out, and then it will benefit you. So if you're not attached to the outcome, then and you're doing your duty, then that is also a way to reach God. Now then, after this discussion, Arjun is not satisfied. He asks, okay, what should I do then? Should I do bhakti yoga, or should I do karma yoga? Which is the superior way? Then Krishna explicitly says, okay, karma yoga is the superior way, because that is the hardest. It is very easy to give up your life and then do and not indulge in any of your duties. What's hard is do your duties, be around everyone, be around all the results, all the wealth of your karma, and then still not get attached to them.
Options that Hinduism gives you, to my mind, is absolutely wonderful. In that sense, I'm very proud to be a Hindu, and I'm happy to say that. But my pride in being a Hindu is that Vivekananda kind of pride. It's not the pride of the Hindutva fanatic who sort of chooses to behave like the British football hooligan, you know. You don't support my team, I'm going to hit you on the head. That's not Hinduism.
He felt that it was his duty to make that distinction, varna सामने वालों को लगेगा कि okay, he's not playing by our rules, because the premise of the question itself was to put the whole Hindu society down by mentioning the caste and then taking it from there. But this discussion did not stay there for very long, and then he went on to say the good things about the Hindu way of life, or the things that Hindu scriptures preach. So now he is coming back to that okay, there is a distinction. I am a Hindu, I accept all the principles, but still there is a distinction and I do not belong to that category. Anyway, it is a lot debatable. I don't know if the idea of Hindutva, like the actual principles of Hindutva, are whether in mainstream or not. Because if I ask someone, okay, what is Hindutva, they will say, okay, that is staunch nationalism which is enshrined in the Hindu ideology. But what it actually is, nobody knows. What are the principles? What are the consequences that the Hindutva people are striving for? What is the kind of society that Hindutva wants? So nobody knows that. Nobody knows what exactly it is. I think we need to read up on that a little bit and then form our conclusions, because some of the things I got to know is that according to the Savarkar's version of Hindutva, it is somewhat modern or the contemporary ideas. Okay, with that, I would like to end this video. Thank you for being here. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.